and welcome back. I want to start out by thanking everyone who stopped by the channel recently and giving me feedback on my videos. I do appreciate it. I am taking everything you all are saying to heart. As you can see, I've changed some of the visuals because of it. Let me know what you think of the changes down in the comment or reach out to me on any of the social channels, and I will continue to listen to your feedback. I do appreciate it. Thank you. Keep it coming. It all helps make the channel better. With that being said, let's jump into this. I'm doing another follow-up video this week. A while back, when Creative Technique was first brought on to Magic Online, a interesting combo deck emerged that had been being played in paper for a little while but wasn't online, called Mississippi River, also known as Creative Technique Combo. I like the nonsensical name of Mississippi River better, so that's what I'm going to refer to it as, but I'm one of those fans that I like the stupid old legacy deck names from the past. But with that being said, that deck was essentially a turn 3 combo deck that used Creative Technique to cast one of its big cascaders, which would then work down the chain to hit more creative techniques, and you'd ultimately end up shitting your entire deck onto the battlefield, and then swinging for lethal with the help of giving all of your creatures haste with Maelstrom Wanderer, or taking an extra turn with Emrakul with Aeon's Torn. The problem with that deck was your mana curve started at 5, which meant you couldn't play any fast mana, you couldn't play Spirit Guides. The only fast mana you had were the various dual lands that are available in the Legacy format. So even your best draws, you weren't able to combo off until turn 3 at the earliest, and that's assuming your opponent didn't have any Wastelands, didn't have any kind of interaction, anything like that. It also meant you pretty much had to either have one of your 6-drop Cascaders or a Creative Technique in hand to be able to go off. Over time, since that deck was originally released and being played online, people had decided to go turbo mode with this deck to be able to pop off and do the combo on turn 2 now instead, with the help of Tibalt's Trickery. So the way that this version of the deck works is, instead of waiting until turn 3 and cascading something that is guaranteed to hit Creative Technique, you're hoping to use either Violent Outbursts or Throes of Chaos to work your way down from 3 or 4 to hit Tibalt's Trickery. You know the chain is always going to end with Tibalt's Trickery because it's the lowest mana cost in the deck. That is then going to be targeted at your lower Cascader, such as Violent Outbursts or Throes of Chaos, to counter it, and hopefully that is going to spin you into your Creative Technique or one of your higher Cascaders to be able to start the chain from there. The cool thing about this deck is it can go off as early as turn 2 versus turn 3 now, which it doesn't sound like a lot, but in Legacy, that 1 turn difference is absolutely fucking huge. So we do this, it's the same kind of stuff, the tap soul lands, the sack lands. It's got Mossfire Valley as kind of a filter land, since you do need red and green to be able to cast Violent Outburst and be able to do that on turn 2. You would need a soul land plus Mossfire Valley. I guess the other way you could theoretically do it is have one of the red sack lands and Beseiju or Antiga, but ultimately this deck is basically just trying to go off on turn 2 with Violent Outburst or Throes of Chaos, cascade into a Tibalt's Trickery, counter the initial Cascader, and then start the chain of being able to shoot your whole deck out onto the battlefield. A couple of other things that have changed since the original versions of this deck. Trumpeting Carnosaur, it's a nice body. It essentially does the same thing as Cascade, except it's an ETB instead of a cast trigger. It also can be removal when you need it to by discarding it to deal 3 damage. There's also Call Forth the Tempest, which is an interesting board wipe, which in this deck, it's going to kill damn near anything because it deals damage to all creatures equal to the mana value of spells cast this turn. And when you're casting 10 drops, 8 drops, 15 drops for free, and multiple of these every turn, it is going to wipe out your opponent's entire fucking board. Like, it is going to be a hard wrath unless your opponent has something with, like, Indestructible or something. There's also one of Atali Primal Conqueror in there. Seems like just kind of a one of fun of. It's another way to spin into more Cascaders or more creative techniques and stuff. It also lets you steal something from your opponent's deck, so you might be able to, like, steal a Teferi from your opponent so that they can't stop you mid-combo or something. It's kind of just a one of fun of. It does do some funny things, though. As far as moving into the sideboard, unfortunately, a lot of the sideboard for this deck dilutes the combo and is always going to introduce some kind of fizzle rate to it. You've got Mindbreak Trap for your Storm and combo decks, Leyline of the Void for the graveyard decks such as Dredge, Reanimator, stuff like that. More copies of Thunder and Carnosaur, another copy of Tibalt's Trickery, so you have further redundancy, and some extra creatures if you need to just have more creatures on board. Pyrokinesis to take care of go wide decks or problematic creatures, such as stuff out of um, Death and Taxes or Initiative, Goblin, stuff like that. Ingot Chewer to be able to get rid of problematic artifacts like Trinisphere. And then another Boseiju in the sideboard to be able to get rid of problematic artifacts and enchantments as well, to be able to get rid of something like a Tabernacle that can fuck you up, Trinisphere, Torpor Orb, stuff like that. But the one downside about this deck is that, like I said, any of your sideboarding is ultimately diluting your initial game plan because it's introducing cards that don't continue the chain. So there's always going to be a risk of sideboarding in any of these cards. It's always going to decrease your chances of having a definitive kill and having your chain ultimately end the game. But let's take this through a league, see how this new turbo version does, see if cutting one turn off the clock here really makes that big of a difference, and see if we can get the river flowing on some opponents. Get you all in the wrap-up. Okay, so for this one, we've got a turn 3, or theoretically a turn 2 if we hit a untapped soul land. It is a little awkward. One of our 3 Tibalt's Trickeries is in our hand. But I think we're going to go ahead and keep this. We do have redundant red sources, which helps if our opponent is on some kind of wasteland deck. We also do have 2 of our quote-unquote fizzle cards in our hand as well. So, assuming that our opponent doesn't have wastelands and doesn't have a shitload of counter magic, this should actually work out pretty well for us here. Okay, and we hit the untapped dual land for next turn. So we're going to start off with the Sandstone Needle. This way we are not giving up the land to go off. And this might allow us to have 2 goes at it. The other nice part is Throes of Chaos in particular. Even if it gets countered, we can always retrace it as long as we have lands. And the deck is like 30 lands. Is this Reanimator, maybe? Yes. So the cool thing is even with Reanimator, since they don't typically kill us in one turn, we actually can work our way through this. And the nice part is with Throes of Chaos being our Cascade spell, even if they discard it, as long as they don't, like, Surgical Extraction it or something, we're golden. So, like, they can shred our hand here, they can do whatever. They don't have a way to actually get haste this turn, and they don't have a way to take an extra turn. So, this actually isn't the end of the world, whereas this would normally be, like, game over. This isn't, unless they have main deck Surgical to take Tibalt's Trickery, which I don't think I've seen many Reanimator decks playing main deck Surgicals. Because, like, they can shit all of their creatures onto the battlefield here. That's totally fine. Like, they can see what we're doing here. Like I said, because of the fact that it's Throes of Chaos and it's retraceable, and they have no way to discard our lands. And they don't have any land destruction. So, regardless of what happens here, we should be able to get off of Throes of Chaos on our turn. And then it's just a matter of, does the deck work? I don't think they have Surgical Extraction, so as long as they don't Surgical this Tibalt's Trickery, we're fine. Okay, yep, go ahead, grief me, that's totally fine. I can't do anything, so I'll have 6. So, yeah, like, they can take our Throes of Chaos, they can't take all of our lands out of our hand. So, unless they somehow have a main deck Surgical or extra paid effects, as long as the Tibalt's Trickery we hit doesn't, like, fizzle, we should be able to win this one. That being said, one of the things about this version versus the other one is there is a legitimate fizzle rate in this deck now, because you could, like, Tibalt's Trickery into another Tibalt's Trickery, or, like, you can Tibalt's Trickery into another Cascader after you've run out of Tibalt's Trickery, so there is a fail rate to this version of the deck versus the other one, where the bottom of your Cascade chain is always Creative Technique. So there is going to just be some random, we'll see if it works sort of thing. So, but we're going to go ahead and spin it and see what the hell happens. I mean, I suppose the other thing is if this is a blue version, there's always the possibility that they have Force of Will to stop the Tibalt's Trickery, but I don't think they would have let off with the Badlands if they were the blue version. So I think this is just traditional, like, Mardu, probably splashing white for Serenity sort of stuff. So let's see what they discarded here. Atraxa, 2 Atraxas, another Gristlebrand, and a whole bunch of lands. Okay. And we have a Violent Outburst, so we actually could even just Violent Outburst but I think we're better off Throes of Chaos in here instead, because this increases our fizzle rate, because this is almost guaranteed to hit a Violent Outburst. Okay, yeah. So we're just going to stick with the plan. We're going to Throes of Chaos, and we're going to spin it. Well, we hit a Violent Outburst, which is going to hit a Tibalt Trickery, which is going to hit this. Call forth the Tempest. Okay, so the chain is starting here, and we're probably going to be able to wipe out our opponent's board into a creative technique, which we will demonstrate. Because our opponent's not going to be playing Counter Magic or like Teferis or anything. They hit a Dark Ritual. Go ahead, opponent. You can cast your Dark Ritual. That's totally fine. Chose not to cast it. Another Call Forth the Tempest. Their board is fucking gone. Into another Violent Outburst. So this is going to hit our last Tibalt's Trickery. Since we're going to have 2 Call Forths, we're going to counter the one that would hit for less, which hits another creative technique. The river is flowing. We're going to go ahead and demonstrate this. Like, there's something to be said about once you hit a certain point and you know you're winning, you don't want to demonstrate anymore because you could theoretically give your opponent an out to what you're doing. But with the fact that our opponent has no stack interaction, we really don't care. And we're already at 13, 15 damage coming off of this Call Forth the Tempest. Like, their whole board is going to be wiped regardless right now. So, alright, what they got off of that is honestly irrelevant at this point. We are starting to see the fizzle rate of the deck. We have no more Tibalt Trickeries to hit, but this is going to hit another Violent Outburst. And being as we haven't hit any creatures yet, when we do eventually hit creatures, because we're getting to the point where these Cascades are going to hit creatures, everything's going to get +3/+0. So our creatures are even going to be huge to begin with. There's the Emmy. That's just death on its own, because they have to sacrifice their entire board. So we've already hit the finisher. Like, it doesn't matter what we hit off of the rest of this. Hit another creative technique. Why not? Since we already won, now we're not going to demonstrate anymore. We're just going to cast this so it's out of the deck. So there's nothing else that we need to hit. So this just decreases the fizzle rate on successive creative techniques and cascades. Trumpet and Carnosaur, that should hit a creative technique. Yep. We are not going to demonstrate this one either. Like I said, we've already won at this point. They do an Apex Devastator. Like, props to our opponent for sticking through this, honestly. Alright, always yield. Always yield. All these Cascade triggers. Oops, I totally missed that. Oh, it doesn't matter. We hit another Maelstrom Wanderer. I was paying too much attention to the triggers and not seeing what was getting revealed there. That's on me. This gives everything haste, so now we win this turn. We also aren't hitting anything off of the Maelstrom Wanderers. Okay, our opponent realizes they're dead. Alright, so that is the cool thing about this version, or about this deck compared to like something like this, is your traditional turn 1 combo decks, unless they're killing you on that turn, like, we can just win through it. So, let's move to the sideboard. Against what our opponent's doing, we're going to bring in the ley lines. We can probably take out a Tally. We honestly want to kind of take out some of our creatures, because they are a bit of a liability against what our opponent is doing. I think we'll take out the Carnosaurs. Gotta take one more out. The problem is we're bringing these ley lines. This is going to introduce a fizzle rate into the deck now. Let's take out one Maelstrom Wanderer as well. To do something like this, there is going to be the risk that the ley lines are going to fizzle the combo and stop the chain. But our hope is that we have one or more of these on the battlefield, so the chances of hitting them go down. So we're going to run something like that. Give that a try. Alright, we cannot keep this hand. We got to mulligan this. Yeah, we keep this. We throw the creative technique back in the deck. Because the other part is again, we have the Throes of Chaos here. So they can rip our hand apart if they want to. But it's retraceable, so we've got multiple soul lands to be able to go off. Like, again, unless they have like an extirpate style effect here, or surgical style effect, we're pretty much good. Unless they can set up to be able to kill us on their turn too, which they might. Like, If they just gotta reanimate here, then they can set up their whole hand to try to go off. Dark Ritual into what? An Animate Dead? No, into Reanimate. They also only have enough to be able to do this once. And again, we're at the point where we don't really give a shit. Unless they can 20 us in one turn, we should still be good, but we'll see what happens. Reanimates are dead. It has to be Exhume or Animate Dead to get the Atraxa back. Alright, isn't Animate Dead? So they're getting to fuel their hand, but even attacking in, this is only 13 damage. So unless they can put more shit on the board, this isn't lethal yet. Alright, opponent's still going. Based off what they got off of that Atraxa, they kept a Lotus Petal, an Unmask. Yeah, they can take Throes of Chaos, but again, like, that being in the graveyard doesn't matter, because we can retrace it. What did they get rid of? They got rid of Reanimate. And we drew one of the Tibalt's Trickeries, so that's a little awkward, but we're just going to play this and pass. I mean, like I said, unless they're able to... Like, I mean, there's always a world where I guess if they have another Entomb... No, they're just going to attack. They're going to hit me for 13. They're going to get to go back up, and they can activate Grizzlebrand twice to draw more of their deck. But again, this is at a point now where, like, as long as our throws doesn't hit, like, total shit, we just win. Alright, gonna unmask me, take a Tibalt Trickery, that's fine. Like I said, as long as I don't have, like, a surgical style effect, we theoretically can just go off and win through all of this anyways. Okay. Well, here goes nothing, I guess. I mean, we're gonna do this in the way that doesn't cost us life. Cast a Throws at Chaos, chuck an Ancient Tomb, and spin it to win it, basically. Tibalt Trickery hits Maelstrom Wanderer. Alright, already starting off strong. Opponent is salty as hell, apparently. Yeah, we're just gonna go ahead and do this. Into a Violent Outburst. Unfortunately, this is gonna fizzle now, because we don't have our 4th copy of Tibalt's Trickery in. So this Cascade has... Ooh, we hit Leyline. Alright. I mean, that is the problem with boarding in the ley lines, is sometimes this shit happens, where it just kind of fizzles the draw there. Apparently our opponent does not realize that Throes of Chaos... we're gonna bring in one more Tibalt Trickery to be safe. They don't realize that Throes of Chaos actually does whatchamacallit? Retrace? Because they thought we top-decked it, informing our opponent to read the card. I don't blame them. A lot of people don't play this card, but we're gonna try something like this. Alright. Unfortunately, we've got 2 of our top end here. Like, I think we got a mulligan this, unfortunately. We have to put 1 back. I think we're gonna keep this. Let's put Maelstrom Wanderer back. So we're gonna hope that this Leyline can delay them long enough that we can either find another Cascader, or we can just get up to the mana needed for this creative technique. Opponent is mulliganing hard, so... Alright. Starting out with the Leyline, let's go. So I can't do anything anyway, so we'll just pass the turn. Our opponent is going to discard us. Looks like it. No, Daunthe Voidwalker. Okay. Voidwalker's fine. That means we get to go off this turn. And then, okay, so we got another... There's 1 Leyline left in the deck. So that means our fizzle rate should be damn near nothing. Okay, hit a Maelstrom Wanderer. There we go. Always yield to this. Into a creative technique. We are going to demonstrate, because we need as many things as possible here. Opponent hit an Atraxa. Okay. I mean, this is the problem with demonstrating, but again, we should be at a point where hopefully we can just win through an Atraxa, because we've got 3 more spells to cast at a minimum. Unfortunately, one of our Tibalt's Trickeries is in hand, and we still do have a lot of the lower Cascaders left that we can hit to fizzle this, and there is still 1 Leyline of the Void left in the deck. Into a Violent Outburst. Trickery, the Violent Outburst. We hit a Throes of Chaos, so we're starting to see the fizzle rate of the deck again. Target the Throws, hit something good. Okay, call forth the Tempest. That's going to wipe out the opponent's board. Yeah, we'll just cast this to get it out of the way. Always yield to the Cascade triggers. So we can Violent Outburst. This shouldn't hit anything. I think we're out of Tibalt's Trickeries. Yes. Okay, so we're out of the trickeries. Hit another creative technique, which we are going to demonstrate because we still need to make sure that we can get out of this. Opponent unmasks, which is fine. They'll probably take our creative technique. Like our hand. Oh no, they took the Tibalt trickery. Interesting. Some of these have just been absolutely horrible. Like, we're definitely seeing the low roll, but I think we're going to be able to get through this. The only reason I'm still casting these is because of the fact that it gets whiffs out of the deck, so that these later cascades can actually hit relevant spells. Into a ley line. Okay. We got some issues. I mean, luckily this is going to wipe out their board. Into another throws. Oh my god, this is the lowest of low rolls, and we're still not fully getting punished for it. Okay, we are out of lower stuff to hit. Okay, we hit the creative technique. Yes, we want to cast it. Or demonstrate it. Hopefully it doesn't give our opponent... Okay, they hit a Faithless Looting, that's fine. Okay, so even with, like, the lowest of low rolls, I don't think we are getting punished here. Amazingly. Like, even with hitting all of our, like, lower shit, hitting our one of ley line left in the deck, I think we're going to be able to piece this together into another Maelstrom Wanderer. I think there's... No, there's no creative techniques left. So this creative technique... This has to be an Apex Devastator or an Emrakul. Oh no, it's just a... Does Call Forth the Tempest do anything? I don't think it hits anything anymore. Right? This doesn't actually hit anything. I think we're going to cast it just for the sake of getting it out. Like, this was the lowest of low rolls, and... I mean, we've got a 7-5 with haste on the battlefield. We've got another creative technique in hand. And their graveyard is shut off. So I guess we're going to see if we can get there in 3 turns. That was, like, the worst running possible without just straight up losing. Like, I guess we'll see what they have. Like, their small creatures can't really block this. Like, I would very much like a... I guess they could reanimate our Maelstrom Wanderer now. Like, that is always a possibility. However, we're just at the point where, like, we want to hit another land. They discarded a Atraxa and a land. Kraken of Bloodstained Mire. Dark Ritual. Playing their own Leyline of the Void. Okay, that's kind of irrelevant at this point. Like, so that's 4 mana? Yeah, that's 4 mana. Because this isn't a true soul land, this is a filter land, so we still need 1 more mana before we can creative technique. But our opponent's also on a 1-turn clock. Reanimate is off. It has to be Animate Dead to get back our Maelstrom Wanderer. And we got there. Alright, I like it. Alright, won the die roll. Let's see what we can do here. Having one of our Emrakuls in hand is a little awkward, and we can't actually go off until turn 4 with this, because this isn't a true soul land. I think we gotta mulligan this one. No Cascader, so we have to mulligan this. We keep this. Put back these 2. Unfortunately, this is a turn 3, but we're gonna see what our opponent can do here. What's up, Cosmo? Alright, so this looks like lands based off of a Mox Diamond right off the bat. With most of our mana sources being tapped, it's very scary being up against a Wasteland Lock deck. Alright, Urza's Saga. If I hit a Mossfire Bridge, or Mossfire Valley, or whatever the hell that card is, off the top, I can Violent Outburst. Or, never mind. Yeah, this is the problem, is, like, in the testing that I've had so far, like, Wasteland Lock decks are the absolute worst thing possible to be able to go up against, especially if they have the Life from the Loam to go along with it. So if they've got a Life from the Loam, since all of our mana enters tapped, and we need a minimum of 2 lands to be able to go off, like, this very well may just end up being over. As long as they don't have another Wasteland here, we might be able to win. Oh, we'll see, because this can enter untapped, and that's going to give us the mana to be able to Violent Outburst. But if they have life from the loam, or they just have another wasteland, we're just dead. And there's nothing we can do about it. Okay, Bajuka Bog. They're not going for a, whatchamacallit, right off the bat. Do they have another wasteland? Or a life from the loam? Okay, Dark Depths. Okay, we have a shot. So you're telling me there's a chance. Alright. And here we go! Alright, don't fail me now, Tibalt's Trickery. Yes, Apex Devastator. There we go. And the river has started running. We are actually going to cast a Tibalt's Trickery. Like, there's a part of me that doesn't want to, because I love having an Apex Devastator. Okay, we hit a creative technique, so that works. Our opponent doesn't have a ton of spells, so we're going to go ahead and creative technique here. Like, in theory, if they hit a crop rotation, they hit a exploration. Like, if they hit a crop rot, whoa, boy. There's a possibility that they could have crop rotted for Tabernacle, but in theory, we're going to win this turn anyways, so it should be irrelevant. Use creative technique, yes. Opponent reveals a Crucible, which would have been devastating next turn, but since we hit the haste, like, we literally just need to hit some creatures and they're dead. Alright, into a Violent Outburst, that's fine. We'll hit another Tibalt's Trickery off of that. Let's get rid of the Violent Outburst. Into an Apex Devastator. Emrakul is going to shuffle shit back into my library, which is a little awkward. Let's get the Cascade triggers on this stack first. Or shuffle first, so then we have more hits off of the Emrakul. Into another Violent Outburst, which is going to hit another Tibalt Trickery because we put one back in the deck. This is probably one of the longest fucking chains I have seen so far. But the problem is we don't have enough creatures on the battlefield yet for any of this to matter. They do hit a crop rotation. I suppose they could have Glacial Chasm, right? Do these decks play Glacial Chasm? Or are they just going to go grab a Tabernacle, maybe? I probably shouldn't have done that, because I'm pretty sure I just have Lethal now, but we'll see. We'll see what they do. Opponent is crop rotting. That's being stage. Okay. Call forth the Tempest, sure. This is definitely one of the longest river chains that I've seen so far. We are just doing this to get cards out of the library now. Like, this is all kind of irrelevant. I'm pretty sure we've won at this point. We just need to hit one more creature. But we are doing this just for the sake of getting cards out of... Okay, there's the Emrakul. Now we've definitely won. Alright, we don't need anything else at this point. Sure, let's make our creatures even crazier. I'm gonna say no to the Tibalt's Trickery. We just need this stack to resolve now. Because our opponent has lost here. We don't need the Maelstrom Wanderer. We don't need the throws. We're just gonna let this stack resolve and our opponent's gonna die. We don't need to call forth the Tempest. And if somehow this does... We'll throw the Carnosaur just because it's an extra body. Nope. Yeah, we'll get the Carnosaur down just because it's an extra body. This is going to give everything haste, and we have another turn after this. And our opponent scoops it up. They see they're dead. Okay. So against what our opponent is doing, we want Leylines in. We want Beseju in. I don't think Atali is going to be very good. Call forth the Tempest. It's a nice Cascader, but I don't think it's realistically going to do much here, so we can probably take all of those out. One more trim. Let's only do 3 ley lines, actually. Yeah, let's try that. Alright, we cannot keep this hand. So this is 2 creative techniques, assuming we get to keep our lands long enough, but that's a big if. We've got 2 of our creative techniques in hand. I think we got to try to go lower. Okay, we keep this, put both of the Cascaders back. We have 2 Sack Soul Lands and the Taiga. So as long as they don't have 2 Wastelands, we'll be able to go off on either turn 2 or turn 3 here. So I like this. Unless they have, like, Sphere Resistance or something, in which case, then we might have some problems, but we'll see. Alright, Mox Diamond from the opponent. Getting rid of a Windswept Teeth. Mox Diamond. Getting rid of an Urza Saga. Okay, Sphere of Resistance. Into a... Well, they functionally only have one land left now, or one card left, and they can't recur that. Let's offer up the Dwarven Runes. We are going to have to either find a Beseiju to be able to get rid of the Sphere of Resistance, or we're just going to have to wait until we have, like, a ton of mana to try to go off. Okay, if they have a Thespian Stage, they might just have us. They can't Crop Rot. That is a creative technique, so that's mildly problematic. Lands does seem like a very, very hard matchup for this particular deck. But if we can just keep hitting land drops, I'm just hoping that, like, enough land drops will get us there before they can find a Thespian Stage, or a land to be able to Crop Rot away for a Thespian Stage. I'm curious what they have that they're just not casting anything at all. Yeah, we're just going to keep hitting land drops until we hopefully have enough mana to be able to do something stupid. So we're talking 7 mana total to be able to Violent Outburst into... Okay, they can play an Exploration, that's fine. That doesn't do anything. We are at 7 mana now. There's the Beseiju. Okay, does that let us do things this turn? It's going to cost us 2 to Beseiju, and we have 7 mana total, so we can Beseiju down to 5 mana. Violent Outburst, we already have a Throws out of our deck. Or we can just Creative Technique? No, I think... Yeah, we're going to start off with this. Beseiju the Sphere. They get a Savannah. I need green mana, so I have to do that. We're going to go ahead and throw some extra mana in the pool just to be safe here. And they scoop it up. They see we got there. All right, I like it. On to the next one. All right, just racking up those die rolls. Let's go. Yeah, nope, can't keep that one. No lander. So this would be a turn 4. I don't think we can do that. Okay, we can keep this. Call Forth the Tempest can go back. I think we can put back the Ancient Tomb for now. We're going to try the Sandstone Needle first. If this doesn't get Wastelanded, then we can Violent Outburst on turn 2. Alright, opponent could be on something blue. The fact that we have 2 of these means we can try to fire again, too, which is nice. Or... I think we're going to play another one so that we can try to play around Daze. Because that is something else that could get us too. If they have, like, Force of Will and Daze. Interesting. Hedge Maze, I'm getting Beans vibes now? I don't know, we'll see. I'm getting Beans vibes. Yes, this is definitely Beans. Yep, up the Beanstalk. Okay. It's very, very much Beans. Alright, so Daze and Force are things that we gotta worry about. So I don't hate the fact that we tried to play around Daze. We drew an Emrakul, though. So we can do this at instant speed, so I'm kind of tempted to do it on their turn. So then we can untap, try to do it on... Like, try to do it again on our turn if this fails. So I think we're going to do this at instant speed. Wasteland is a thing that they could have. Yeah, we're going to let them brainstorm. That's fine. Alright, just brainstorming, cycling a Lorien Reveal to grab a Trop. Okay, so we're going to try to go for this end step. See if this works out. See if we can get one counter out of their hand. We can pay for a Daze. Stifle? Okay. Interesting. Into a Throws. I think I want to do it this way here. Tibalt's Trickery on the Violent Outburst. Let's see if they got a Force. Because we have a Throws to try to go again next turn. Okay, they did have a Force, so I guess we just go for Throws of Chaos next turn. And if we hit an untapped land, we actually have enough. Well, no, because we won't have the land to be able to retrace with Throws. Alright, Beans number 2. Crystal Vein. Okay. The question becomes... Well, we're going to see if this resolves first. They have another Stifle. Into a Creative Outburst. Into a Tibalt's Trickery. Do you have another counter? Daze. Okay, we can pay for the Daze. Do they have another counter? Yes. Jesus Christ. Holy fuck, our opponent has had all the fucking counters. So if we draw a land, we can try to do this again next turn. Because we have the mana to be able to do it. We've also gotten through a Stifle, a Daze, 2 Forces. We've got to be running out of counter magic, right? The other problem is this is going to be our last Tibalt Trickery. Chose not to shuffle. Oh, they had clinged to us to main? Okay. Well, we'll just see if we can hit another one then. We're down 3 Violent Outbursts. We could also always just get to the point where we have 15 mana and we hardcast an Emrakul. Assuming we haven't lost by then. This is giving them time to find more counter magic, though. I'm assuming this means they're putting one back on top. Yeah. Okay. So we are getting to the point where and it's a Murktide region? Okay. We're hitting the point where basically we just need to hit Cascade creatures. So we need Cascade creatures so that we're guaranteed some Cascade hits. We are at 9 mana. Into an Orcish Bowmasters? Okay. Our opponent just had so much fucking counter magic. Unfortunately, we are not likely to hit anything relevant. Yeah, this is a 2-turn clock. Like, we got 1 draw step to find a way out of this and hope that our opponent doesn't have... and a Wasteland. Got it. So what? It would need to be Creative Technique specifically. Atali. Atali's 7 mana? And it's just going to get countered by a Force of Will? Yeah. Womp. Okay, on to the next one. Well, we'll try to get back at this. This does seem like a very hard matchup, but let's see. I think we are going to bring in... Well, no, I don't think Pyrokinesis really does anything here. Like, in all honesty, I don't think there's really much in our deck that we fucking care about. Let's take out a Tally. It just seems bad here. We'll bring in another Tibalt Trickery just so we can try to overload their counter spells. And I think we'll just go like that. Give that a shot. This isn't great, but there's a bunch of persistent mana sources and 2 Throws of Chaos. I'm going to mulligan it, though. Okay, this is better. We'll keep this. Put the Carnosaur back. Play the Woodlot. Try to just get our mana under us, I think. Try to see if we can, like, multi-spell in a turn. Call forth the Tempest is interesting. Unfortunately, these are the green ones, which is a little awkward. And they're getting down to beans, which I'm assuming means they probably got a Force. I also wouldn't be surprised if they brought in Surgicals to take Tibalt Trickery. Unfortunately, I only have a way to make 1 red mana at the moment. I could also just blow up this beans. The question just becomes is I think I gotta try to go for it here. Unfortunately, it does mean using both of these. Try to go for 1. We can... Luckily, again, it's throws. I'm assuming this gets forced. Yes. Force of Will pitching Murktide Regent. If they're just banking on a... whatchamacallit? Cling to Dust, we have another one in our hand. Alright, do they just have another counterspell? Because I would much rather blow the one out of my graveyard, or I don't have enough mana for Call Forth the Tempest yet. I could just try to wait and go for a Call Forth. Because this is 6, 7 mana, this is 8. But I need triple red, so never mind. That's not gonna work. Try that. See if this works. Chuck the Boseiju. That way I have another one in hand as well. Into a Violent Outburst. Into a Tibalt Trickery. Black mana for a Daze. This is screaming that they have another Force. I'm gonna wait. I mean, granted, another land lets me try to do it again. Yeah, fuck it. I think this is a trap, but we're going to try it. Into a Fluster. Okay. Okay. Or how are these all... Hold on. They're all aimed at Tibalt's Trickery. Okay, that's fine. We'll just yield through the turn. So I need an untapped land, and I can try one more time. Problem is just... the opponent's deck just has so much fucking counter magic. I can untap land and we get to try again. And hopefully they're fucking out of shit. But their forces keep drawing them cards, so we'll see. Ooh, surgical on Throes of Chaos. Opponent came to game. So what? We've got one more Violent Outburst? Yeah. I'm surprised they didn't do it on the Tibalt Trickery, honestly. Unless they just have another one. If they have another one for Tibalt Trickery, then I think we're just dead. We'll see. Ooh, Crucible. Well, they don't have any Wastelands yet. Into an Apex Devastator. Gross. Yeah, I think this one slipped away, unfortunately. Like, there's nothing we can do here. They just had enough counter magic to fucking destroy me. And now they can just establish their mana and shit. They also can... They can get back any of their counter spells. Basically, I need to top deck Violent Outburst right now. Yeah. They're probably gonna go grab a Mystic Sanctuary, get their Force of Will back, and then no, Hedge Maze, interesting. Does that mean they have another counter spell somewhere? But they chose not to bin whatever the hell it was. Okay. I'm assuming they have more counter magic now. Like, as bad as land seems for this deck, I feel like this is probably like 1,000 times worse. Just, yeah, they're gonna grab their Force of Will, I'm sure. Yep. Which means they probably got a way to draw it also. Yeah, into a Beans. I guess it's Creative Technique off of the top, demonstrate it, and hope that they don't have multiple counters. Yeah, that's our only realistic out, because we're dead next turn. So it's gotta be Creative Technique off of the top, and for them to not have multiple... No, Apex Devastator, yeah, they just had this one. Good game, opponent, good game. Alright, lost the die roll, but this isn't a terrible hand. It's a little awkward that we have one of our Tibalt Trickeries in hand, but I think we're going to keep this. Underground Sea, into a Ponder. Okay. So, initial thoughts are this is probably a Re-Scaminator. Chose not to shuffle, okay. Crystal Vein. Alright, we'll just play the Mossfire Valley for now. This is a little bit slower than I'd like, but we have a decent amount of redundancy. Alright, just holding up mana. Sandstone Needle? Do I want to play that next? Or do I want to play, like, Crystal Vein? I could also play another Mossfire Valley. The fact that I have a Creative Technique in hand, I might actually just try... Well, I don't know. Yeah, let's just play the Sandstone Needle for now. We have some redundancy. I think we're going to risk it here. This also lets us play... Creative Technique from hand next turn. And then we can demonstrate it, and hopefully we can get through multiple counter spells. Alright, opponent resolved their Brainstorm after taking a very long time to think it over. And it's just passing the turn. So I think we are going to go ahead and try to Creative Technique from hand first. Well, we got two of them. So we're going to try to see how many counter spells they have. See what they reveal. It's a little awkward that we have two of these, but it is what it is sort of situation. The nice part is if like this manages to completely fizzle out, we have another one. We have throws to try to do some stuff. So this isn't the end of the world if this doesn't resolve. Undercity Sewer. So yeah, this is definitely Re-Scaminator. Brainstorming to put something on top that they actively want to put in the graveyard? What are they going to do? Just throw in a Traxit in the yard or something? Okay, resolve their Brainstorm. What are they actively putting in the yard? Archon of Cruelty. Okay. We are going to demonstrate this. It's a little awkward. Okay, we run them into an Orcish Bowmasters. That's fine. They now need 2 counter spells to be able to stop what I'm doing here. Go ahead and ping me. That's fine. If they have Daze plus Force, we kind of have an issue. It seems like they do not have counter magic. We're going to yield to these Cascade triggers. Tibalt's Trickery on the Throes of Chaos. Into a Trumpeting Carnosaur. That's pretty good. We have a creature on the battlefield now, at least. Into another Violent Outburst. This was going to be our last Tibalt's Trickery, unfortunately. Oh, no, they're all gone now. Oops. Okay, well, now we're banking on this creative technique doing something. Our fizzle rate is kind of high now. Ugh, into a fucking violent outburst. Okay. Well, that's unfortunate. I'm assuming that means that they are getting this Archon back, but we will see. I can't do anything here. We have another creative technique to try to go off next turn, or we can Throes of Chaos and try to hit something off of Tibalt's Trickery, because that should be all of the throws out of the deck. No. It's almost all the violent outbursts out of the deck. It looks like there's still going to be 2 more throws. So our best bet, honestly, might be cast throws to hit our last violent outburst, and then Tibalt's Trickery in response. Because if they have a way to reanimate this Archon of Cruelty, it means their Trumpeting Carnosaur is gone. But they're not snapping it off yet. The other option we could do is just... Okay. Really? They're getting back Apex Devastator. I mean, I guess they just want a big fucking creature? Why would they not get back their Archon? They don't get the Quadruple Cascade. Oh, because they have an Animate dead too. Got it. Okay, well, we're not doing shit with our Apex Devastator. They didn't have Counter Magic last turn. The question is do I want to just say fuck it in Creative Technique, or do I want to go for the other line that I said? Hickory Woodlot. Because I don't have enough mana to do everything, right? No. I gotta pop that. We'll play this. I think this is kind of my Hail Mary here. I think we're gonna go ahead and just Creative Technique. This does increase our fail rate and give our opponent... Of course, they hit a Force of Will. Okay. So basically, we gotta hope that they don't have another counterspell in hand, and that our one Creative Technique that resolves hits something good. Okay, Call Forth the Tempest isn't bad. Always yields to the Cascade triggers. Into a Trumpeting Carnosaur, that's not bad. Into a Throes of Chaos that can't hit anything. Luckily, this should, in theory, wipe the entire opponent's board. And again, we are hitting these so that we decrease the fail rate for hitting other things. Ooh, a Tally. I like that. Alright, what can we steal here? We are not going to cast their spell, but we will cast another Call Forth the Tempest to hit a Creative Technique. Yes, we're going to demonstrate it. We'll let our opponent... Yeah, they can have an Atraxa. It's just going to die anyways. Yeah, Atraxa's going to die. They can get a Force of Will here, which I guess they can use to counter one of the Creative Techniques. Because I can pay for a Daze. Ponder, Force of Will, Grief, Animate Dead, and Underground. See, okay. So they're going to try to reset up for next turn. They can counter one of these Creative Techniques, but their whole board is about to be wiped. Okay, they chose not to. Unfortunately, one of these Creative Techniques is gone. Unless they're just waiting to see what else I hit here. I think there's one more Creative Technique left in the deck. It's interesting that they're not choosing to counter any... Okay, we hit him. We're cool. We're good. We win. It doesn't matter what we hit from here. We win. The fact that they did not counter any of those Creative Techniques is interesting. Now that we win, we're not going to bother demonstrating. Like, we take another turn after this one. We don't need the haste anymore. And we just hit Maelstrom Wanderer anyway, so we have the haste, so we kill him this turn. Okay. We just win here. Nothing we hit matters. We're just going to say no to everything from here on out. Unless they decide to counter the... Well, I guess it doesn't really matter. I don't know why they're not countering anything. Like, it's irrelevant at this point anyways. Like, we just take another turn and then we kill them, but... Okay, they're countering the Maelstrom Wanderer. Interesting. I just get another turn anyway, so I don't really care. We've cast so much shit. We just kill everything. I don't even know how much damage that did. And then we just take an extra turn, and we attack. Yep, okay. We got there. We managed to get there with some lucky shit, but they're actually just... No, they are Re-Scaminator. Okay. So how do we sideboard with this against Re-Scaminator? Let's bring in the ley lines, as much as I hate that. They can pivot. Let's bring in Pyrokinesis. Bring in another Tibalt's Trickery. The Tally doesn't seem particularly good here. Call Forth seems pretty good. trim some of our faster Cascade stuff just to try to play it safe. I actually might just say get rid of all of the Violent Outbursts, honestly. Try to go for some of the higher end Cascade stuff and hope that we last that long. We can trim a Beseju. I don't think we need that. Trim one Hickory Woodlot. Just trim a couple of lands to drop down to 28. Let's try that. Alright, this is redundant as fuck, so we're gonna keep this. Can't do anything on turn 1 anyway, so we are going to see what we can do here. Alright, I have every Throes of Chaos in hand now. Opponent Troll cycling a Troll, okay. Or Swamp cycling a Troll. That's fine, that's fine. Is this just gonna be a Animate Dead? No, it's a Dothy Voidwalker. I mean, luckily all of our shit's in hand here. I might go ahead and play out another Dwarven Runes just to be able to play around a Daze. Yeah, unless I hit another like untapped source, I think I might just play Dwarven Rune next turn. Okay, they're gonna grief me. That's fine. Chucking an Animate Dead. Behold the redundancy in my hand, opponent. Behold the redundancy. I also think I'm gonna play this out so I don't just get got by Wasteland right off the bat. Alright, they took the Apex Devastator. That's fine. I'm not fucking casting that anyways. Maelstrom Wanderer. Okay. Well, we're gonna start trying to do stuff next turn then. I said this way I don't just get got by Wasteland, because if I were to like sack my Dwarven Rune the days I followed up with a Wasteland, then I'm just like completely shit out of luck and it doesn't matter anymore. Unfortunately, we do have 6 dead hits in the deck now. Like, I know against Re-Scaminator, like, they can just pivot onto shit like this where they go small creature aggro and like they don't use their graveyard at all, so your graveyard hate is irrelevant, but it also feels wrong not to bring in the graveyard hate because they could also just keep the like, oh, oops, I win Reanimator shit in as well. It feels bad not bringing in the graveyard hate, but I feel like maybe the correct option is you're supposed to bring in graveyard hate, but I really don't know. We'll see. See how it plays out here. Oh, they just want my Apex Devastator. Okay. They just want a big body. They're trying this again. Okay. And they do cascade it, so they actually do get to do a bunch of shit. Okay. Okay. That's sneaky that they actually get to cast it. They don't just put it into the battlefield. That's really interesting. I'm assuming they're going to grief to take one of my throws. Or no, yeah, they just revealed Reanimate. No, oh, we're just dead. Wow, okay. Opponent got some good fucking hits. Okay, okay. Alright, opponent. Alright. Alright. You got me. You got me good. That's the one downside about having big-ass creatures in your deck against a deck with a bunch of reanimates in it. Alright, I think we're going to just take the ley lines out. Like, I just don't think there's a point. Let's bring the Violent Outburst back in. Just try to go turbo mode here. Try that. Alright. I want to go fast. This doesn't have red mana. I think we gotta mulligan it. This has no mana, so we definitely have to mulligan this. I guess we keep this. Put back Trumpeting Carnosaur and Crystal Vein. Alright, play the Sandstone Needle and hope that it doesn't get wastelanded. Okay, no wasteland, that's good. Alright, so I think what we're gonna do is we are gonna go ahead and try to pop this off on their end step. Alright, we're gonna try to pop this off on end step. Assume it gets countered, and then try again on our turn. Or they're just gonna go... They're grabbing an Archon. That's interesting. I'm assuming that means that they're gonna reanimate it, which is fine. Because if they can tap out for that, I'll just chuck Throws of Chaos into the bin, because it doesn't really matter. Throwing a Troll in the bin. Alright, so this gains them a card. I think now is my time to try to do this before they get a chance to draw another counterspell. There's something to be said about just trying to counter the Reanimate, but... Alright, so we get a Force of Will out of hand. We get 2 Forces out of hand, okay. That's fine. We'll chuck the Throws of Chaos because it's irrelevant. That's fine. We can chuck Throws of Chaos. They're tapped out, so they need another Force plus blue card. Daze isn't going to do it because I can pay for the Daze. Mossfire Valley. This accomplishes essentially the same thing and gets around days still because it's 4 total mana. We're gonna leave up a green. Tibalt's Trickery, the Violent Outburst. Yeah! Apex Devastator. There we go. We got the big boy. They don't have counter magic. Or if they do, they counter the wrong thing, or we're... Nope! They scooped it up! Okay! Okay, after that rather abrupt concession from our opponent, and you getting to see my musical taste, so... I think I gotta mulligan this. Having the 2 Apex Devastators in hand is kinda rough. Alright, we keep this. We put back a Devastator. Yeah, we just put back the Devastator. We'll keep the Trumpet and Carnosaurs in hand because we have a chance to actually cast those. Blue something. Hopefully they don't have just a metric shit ton of counter magic. Alright, opponent chose not to shuffle. And we drew the Apex Devastator anyways. Alright. We could either try to wait till turn 3 so we can play around a daze, or we just slam it next turn and see what happens. Alright, blue-white, this could... Oh! It's Stiflenaught. Okay. Alright. Forces and dazes are a thing that this deck could have. The question just becomes is, do we take the hit? Drew a Tibalt's Trickery. I think we just gotta try to go for it, unfortunately. Put him to the force test, see what happens. Alright, don't have the counter. Nope, cast Atali, I guess? Okay, they didn't counter. What do we hit? Brainstorm and Call Forth the Tempest. We're gonna cast Call Forth, and we're gonna cast Brainstorm, put some shit back in the deck. Oh, never mind, the triggers go on the stack first. Disregard that shit. Creative Technique, yes. We are gonna go ahead and demonstrate this because we don't... Okay, or they just scoop it up. I guess we don't have to demonstrate it. Alright, against Stiflenaught, let's bring in the Beseju. Let's bring in Ingot Chewers. Do I want to bring in Ingot Chewers? I feel like they're gonna have Torpor Orb. So yeah, let's bring in the Ingot Chewers. Bring in one more Tibalt's Trickery. I don't think Atali is very good here. Trumpet and Carnosaurs I don't think are going to be very good, so we can take those out. And let's turn 1 Hickory Woodlot. Let's try that. Alright, cannot keep this. Ship it. So I want to keep this. You know, yeah, we're going to keep it. Bin the Wanderer. And then just hope that they don't have Wastelands and we just keep drawing lands is really all I need here. Since I have more red sources, I think I'm going to play out the Dwarven Runes first. We'll see what I draw. City of Traders. Yes, we're going to play out the Dwarven Runes first. We're going to try to go for it on turn 3. Like, I think what we might do is try to go for it, end step turn 3, untap, throws on turn... Okay, never mind. Disregard everything I said. I guess it just depends on what we draw now. If we draw more, we just push everything off a turn. We draw an Ancient Tomb. I think we gotta play the Tinder Farm here. And we might just go for a Creative Technique instead. Alright, opponent's just passing the turn, so they're holding up counter magic shit. Either that or they're waiting for like an end of turn dress down on my end step. Another throws. Yeah, I think we're just gonna go for a Creative Technique on my turn. Assuming they don't Wasteland me. Okay, they didn't do an end of turn dress down. That is annoying. Now we need another red source. I mean, luckily, like, half of our deck is fucking lands. So... And I don't think this deck has any recursion for their lands. That is a Tibalt's Trickery. That is fucking awful. Alright. They may have managed to Wasteland us into Oblivion despite the fact that I'm playing a 30-land deck. So, we'll see. If they have another Wasteland for this Ancient Tomb, that's just fucking ridiculous. We also are drawing a lot of our, like, lower-end shit here. If we draw a Mossfire Valley, we do have the mana to be able to Violent Outburst. And just try to go for it that way. Having one of our Trickeries in hand, though, is annoying. We'll see how much counter magic the opponent has. Or we just draw another Throws of Chaos, you know, that's cool too. We can just throw one of these into the bin. Like, where they are in our hand is honestly irrelevant. But we're giving our opponent all the time in the world to try to... Okay, they're just gonna Miracle a Triumph. That's not the worst thing that could happen. If they just want a Miracle a Triumph, I'm kind of okay with that. That is not the end of the world by any means. Yeah, it feels really bad missing lands in a 30-land deck. Okay. I mean, that does things. Assuming it doesn't get Wastelanded. Assuming they don't have Wasteland number 3. Alright, opponent's pondering. I would not be surprised if they're looking for Wasteland number 3. Chose not to shuffle. Okay, it's not a Wasteland. Alright, how much counter magic do you have, opponent? I think we are going to start with Creative Technique. And we are going to make it Dazeable. Seiju. Interesting. Yeah, we're just going to start with a Creative Technique here. And we will make it Dazeable. Demonstrate Trigger goes on the stack. Unless they got a Stifle and a counter, but then that gets multiple things out of their hand. Alright, they stifled the Demonstrate Trigger. Do they have another counter spell on top of it? If they do, that's actually good for us. Because it gets multiple things out of hand. No, they do not. And let the river get flowing. Their Catherine is dead regardless. If they have 2 more Stifles to stop these Cascade triggers, so be it. Alright, that's 1 Stifle. And a Force of Will on the Call Forth the Tempest. Okay, we got 1 Cascade trigger. I guess we just play the Ingot Chewer so we have a blocker? And we pass the turn? Alright, so now we just go for it again next turn with either Throws of Chaos or we might just Throws. Ooh, Teferi's a problem. Okay, that actually is a problem. Interesting. But we have the mana to be able to cast Ingot Chewer again, which we might just do to try to kill Teferi. Or if we hit a Pyrokinesis. I don't think we brought those in, though. Violent Outburst? Yeah, we're just gonna cast this. To get this down. If this gets countered or bounced again, or if they have a way to... They might just hold back on D to protect this Teferi. Yeah, unfortunately that 1 Cascade, like, this is the problem, is... 1 bad Cascade can ruin it. Like, if we didn't have Ingot Chewer in our deck... Because, yeah, we didn't bring in the Pyrokinesis, did we? No. Does it only hit creatures? Yeah, it only hits creatures that... Oh, into another Teferi? Yeah, we're dead. Okay. They got us there. That's fine. That was just a bad Cascade, unfortunately. I think we're going to take the Ingot Chewers out, though. I don't think it's worth bringing in the Ingot Chewers just to try to get rid of a Resolve Dreadnought, so I think we are going to take those out. Pyrokinesis is only 4 damage, so I think it's irrelevant. I think we'll just bring the Carnosaurs back in. Try this. Alright, let's go. This is turn 2 Throws. I think I gotta ship this. The mana's a little too wonky, unfortunately. Can't keep this, so I gotta ship this. Opponent apparently is keeping on 7. We can keep this. Throw Trumpet and Carnosaur and Maelstrom Wanderer back in. Oh, actually, shit, no. I forgot, these don't actually make mana. Oh, I already said keep? Shit. Alright. Well, we are hoping that we hit lands that actually produce mana now. I always forget Mossfire Valley doesn't actually produce mana on its own. Here I am thinking I've got 2 lands, and it's like, nope, you actually have 0. Opponent is on a virtual 5, though. Got rid of a Daze. Might be losing this one just to my own fuck up there. We'll see. We'll see if they... I mean, I guess at this point, like, them wastelanding a Mossfire Valley doesn't really matter, because it's not producing fucking mana at this point anyways. However, if they can, like, get in a whatchamacallit right here, we're in some deep shit. Like, if this is... This is Dreadnought Stifle? No, it's Lavinia. Okay, so I have this all sorts of fucked up. We actually literally don't have a way to stop that. Like, I literally just have to go for... Okay, I should have brought the Pyrokinesis in, apparently. Fuck, I was not expecting Lavinia, to be completely honest. I mean, granted, Stiflenaught isn't super common, so I guess I don't really know what the fuck they're playing anyways. So I don't know how I would have known to sideboard around this, but I don't know. I will give our opponent credit. They've got our number on this one because I have no fucking idea. Like at this point, it's cast creatures and hope that it works. Like just hope that our creatures resolve and can get through their shit. Because I literally don't have a way to get rid of this Lavinia. I don't have pyrokinesis. I don't have any kind of direct damage spells. We're probably just going to die to this thing if I'm being completely honest. The only thing I can think of that might be able to get through this would be if I cast a Call Forth the Tempest, but the chances of us getting to 8 mana and then that spell itself resolving are slim to none. I have a feeling this is going to be a game of me just drawing lands and nothing happening. Well, good job, opponent. Lavinia was not on my radar whatsoever. Apparently, this opponent very much does not want to lose to Storm, is what I am seeing from this card being in their deck. Storm apparently hurt them personally. Alright, opponent's pondering. That's fine. Everything's fine. Choosing, and there's the Wasteland. Please, go after the Crystal Vein. Do the correct thing. Do they understand? Yes, they do understand that Mossfire Valley does not make mana on its own. Alright, yeah, our opponent got us here. I literally don't think there's a way that we get out of this now. I will give this a few draw steps until they produce, like, a faster clock or whatever, but I literally don't think there's a way that we get out of this now. Especially when half of our draws are just going to be lands, and there's no way that a Call Forth the Tempest actually resolves. And they just top deck. Well, no, they pondered. They knew that was coming. That's fine. I mean, I suppose there is a world where they're just deciding to go race mode, and they don't actually have counter magic in their hand. But I think the chances of that are slim to none. There's no way that they would not have kept counter magic. They do have a legitimate clock now, though, so cycling a Lorien Reveal, that's fine. Just to grab a Tundra, yep, that's fine. I mean, they are low on resources. I guess there's a world where I can top deck the right stuff and they don't have anything. Unfortunately, I am still a Soul Land away. Like, this is literally, I need to top deck Soul Land, Call Forth the Tempest, and for them to have literally nothing. Actually, no, I don't even have time for that. Yeah, I'm just dead. I don't think there was any one draw that can get me out of this since I don't have Pyrokinesis. And yeah, it's just Soul Land. We lost that one. Yeah, Lavinia was not on my radar whatsoever. Good job, opponent. Good job. Good job. You got me. So I think we got to see the good and the bad of the deck today. We did get to see that we can do some crazy shit on turn 2. The turbo side of it, the one turn off does matter. Like in that Reanimator matchup, if we had to wait until turn 3, we would have been dead. So it is definitely great seeing that the one turn off allows the deck to be even more explosive and to win games faster. But we did get to see the downside of that, where some of our chains ended up just fizzling out because there are so many ways to end up falling back into ending your chain on the wrong kind of spell. Ending it down on one of your lower cascaders like Throws of Chaos, or Violent Outburst when you run out Tibalt's Trickeries, or Trickerying into a Trickery. We also did get to see the risk with the sideboard, where everything you're sideboarding in is a way to end the chain, and there were multiple times we saw where the sideboard cards that we brought in ended our chain early and cost us games and matches because of it. But overall, I mean, it was a blast to play. It was still as crazy as the original Mississippi River deck. This is definitely a deck I would say, if you just want to do something stupid and fun, go for it. I imagine playing this deck in paper is a fucking nightmare. Trying to keep track of all those Cascade triggers, and then especially with Call Forth the Tempest, having to keep track of the mana value of all the cards you're casting as well. Also, huge shout out to Call Forth the Tempest. That card was an all-star. I think that is a great addition to the deck. The double Cascade, and then acting as a one-sided board wipe, saved us multiple times. So I think that is a huge addition to the deck. I really wouldn't necessarily say I'd change anything with it. Personally, I think I'd probably go for the turn 3 version just because it's more consistent. You know your chain is always going to end in a creative technique instead of fizzling out occasionally. That one does kind of run into the same problems though when it comes to sideboarding, but it sideboards in more higher value cards, so the chances of fizzling are lower because you're still going to be cascading down to 5 versus having cards at the 4 and the 3 mana value. But overall, the deck was a blast to play. It can still do powerful things, but you can also see that it's very, very glass cannony. And in the current meta, with all of the Re-Scaminator decks and all the blue-black tempo decks running around. I don't think it would be great in a huge tournament where you expect that kind of meta, but I think it would be absolutely awesome for like an FNM or somewhere where you just want to have some fun, do something stupid, and just like watch the insanity of the deck as it gets going. But hopefully y'all had fun. I will catch you all in the next one, and as always, stay salty. Thank you for watching the video. If you like what you saw, do me a favor, hit that like and that sub button below. They are both free ways to support my channel and support my content. Make sure while you're at it, you also go stop by and follow me on all the other socials to see what I'm doing outside of the world of Magic. If you really like what you see and you really want to support the channel, or you have a crazy deck list you want to see played here, stop by the Patreon, submit a donation deck list. Whether it's a deck you want to see me play, a challenge for something you want to see me build, or you just want to see me play whatever the hell I feel like playing that week, stop by there. It is just the price of a league to get your deck on video. As always, thank you for stopping by. I hope you all had fun, and as always, stay salty.